he is calling the World Series on ESPN Radio with our Tuesday guest, Dan Shulman. He is Aaron Boone back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Aaron?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Rich?
Can you put in perspective what Schwarber's done or doing right now?
No, it really is remarkable. When I heard that he was going to be in the lineup in Game 1, I was on board with it because I know what he's capable of, and I thought he can maybe give you something at a position, DH for the Cubs, that you don't really have a perfect fit there. You know, you're going to be almost flipping a coin as to see who you want to play there. It's not like you had a natural fit before Kyle Schwarber, when he was injured. So I thought it was a good play just because, maybe his power plays up, his ability to get, draw a walk, and then you can run for him at some point late in the game. I thought it made sense. But to see the quality and the level of at-bats he strung together in these first two games, I think it's 3 hits now, a couple of big RBIs. I think he struck out 3 times at least, and I would say every strikeout has been a really good at-bat. I mean, that's the thing that I've taken away is the at-bat quality, whether he gets a hit, whether he doesn't. You know it's now in the minds of the Cleveland Indians that, we've got a beast we're facing right now that's frankly locked in. He looks like a on-base, power-hitting, machine, middle-of-the-order hitter in the middle of a season.
So, and then there's what happens within the team, right, within the clubhouse, to see one of the guys who they have probably seen from a little bit or heard from or connected to while he's rehabbing, seeing him back out there as one of the guys in a big spot, that has got to permeate the entire clubhouse like an electric bolt, Aaron.
Yeah, that's a great point, Rich. I haven't even really thought of it that way, but I think you're absolutely right. And seeing his reaction when he got a big hit last night and seeing the team's reaction around him and knowing from just being around this team all year and in the postseason, the kind of dude that he is and the kind of respect as a very young player that he has in that clubhouse and the way those guys look at him. And now, he's right in the middle. And I think you could make the case, like looking at these first 2 games, that he might be the guy you're looking at like, we got to worry about him. We need to navigate through this difficult lineup. And that's the one spot that looks as scary as any right now, frankly. I think he has been a real shot in the arm and kind of a, as much fun as the postseason is and can be, and I'm sure these Cubs are having, can also be just a mental grind and a stressful time. And now all of a sudden you got this young stud coming in that you love so much, and he's flipping these at-bats, and it's kind of a moment of levity, a little bit of, you feel almost destined.
Aaron Boone joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. He's calling the game on ESPN Radio with Dan Shulman. All that said, though, he takes a seat now, right? I mean, is there a chance he can actually put on a glove and is medically cleared to go running around out there and he's not a defensive liability?
I said on last night's game that I'd be shocked to see him out there in the field in Game 3, and that would. But the more I've kind of thought about it, and again seeing another game of at bats, seeing where there are some areas where the Cubs are struggle. I think if in today's workout, he's cleared, and you watch him, take routes in the outfield, you watch him play a little bit out there, and you determine that he can at least be playable out there, I think he probably has to become an option. Now, I think not knowing how that goes today, not knowing exactly what that might look like, in Game 3, I'd probably err on the side of caution and not do it, and then just kind of look at it as, okay, I've got this weapon over here, another weapon at my disposal, and Joe Madden can go out and deploy him and cherry pick a situation in the game that's the best matchup. And it may be very early in the game. Maybe he hits for somebody, if it's the right matchup and Tomlin's in trouble, say in the 3rd inning, and you've got a couple runners on. Maybe that's the time you send him up there and use that. And even if it's early, maybe it becomes a double switch possibility where you can get him out there for a couple innings and use him in a couple of at-bat situation. We've seen Joe Madden before be very creative with when he uses people and where and how long. I think that'll be one of the interesting stories, though, heading into Game 3, certainly.
What do you think of Frank Kona's decision to tighten the rotation and go back to Kluber in Game 4 on short rest?
I think it's absolutely the right thing. With Carrasco and Salazar down as obviously options in the rotation, even though we saw Salazar out of the pen. And as great as Terry's bullpen has been and as well as he kind of uses it, and as dominant as Kluber was, he wasn't overworked. He didn't even throw 100 pitches in Game 1. So there's probably reason to believe that he can bounce back pretty effectively. You can protect him in the middle innings, and if you get another strong outing, even if it's a little shorter than, say, 7-8 innings that you would hope out of your ace, maybe you get 5 or 6, but it's high-end pitching and you get a lead, and all of a sudden you can start emptying that bullpen again with Andrew Miller and the boys. And I think that absolutely has to be the recipe for this team to win, is a couple of big-time outings by Kluber and the bullpen doing their thing.
Well, they've got to do that, obviously, right? Because what a scene that's going to be in Wrigley. I mean, I'll be tuned in on Friday night just to see what it looks like. What a World Series crowd. They've been waiting 71 years, man, Aaron. At least the Cleveland Indian fans have had a World Series appearance since they last won one. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I can't wait to. One thing I've made a point to do a couple of times in this postseason, and we've had the Cubs in the Division Series and the Championship Series, is just 45 minutes, an hour before the game, I've kind of walked out of the booth and just walked around Wrigley a little bit just to get a feel and get a sense. And it's going to be a pretty special scene, I think, ahead of Game 3, especially because it's looking like it's going to be such a competitive series.
And do you know what the weather's supposed to be like? Not to turn you into weatherman, but what do you think?
Good.
Yeah?
Good. I think Game 2 is probably the only dicey situation, which we got lucky, even though they tried to play for 14 hours last night and tried to bring the rain into play. Looking forward these 3 days in Chicago, and then even if it goes back to Cleveland, it looks like weather-wise we're going to be pretty fortunate, especially when you consider what the possibilities are with these two cities.
Hey, soak it in, Aaron. Enjoy it.
Thanks, Rich. Take care, man.
You bet. That's Aaron Boone.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.